Welcome to Green is the New Black, a podcast by Oikos Lisbon, a student club of Nova SBE, all about sustainability and creating a positive impact. My name is Maria and I'll be your host for today's episode, here from Fidelidad Studio at Nova SBE. So, our today's guest is a true changemaker, and I'll have to read his presentation because you'll see it's quite a big one. So he's a Forbes 30 under 30 in sustainability and social innovation and a global shaper at the World Economic Forum. He's a jurist and alumni from Nova School of Law and founder of Generation Resonance, an international platform advancing the UN 2030 agenda. Recently highlighted as one of the ESG thought leaders in Portugal by Rethinking and winner of Portugal's National Prize for Financial Literacy and Entrepreneurship. Our guest currently works in ESG and climate change at a top-tier law firm, also serving as the EU Green Deal Ambassador for Portugal. Besides Nova, he has also studied in institutions like Wharton, where he specialized in ESG, also holding specializations in regenerative economics, shipping challenges, marine biodiversity, and sustainability and climate change regulation. With an inspiring both national and international journey at only a young age, our guest is a powerful and promising voice in the climate space and beyond. So, welcome João Maria Botelho, and thank you for accepting the invitation to be here with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me a voice, and thank you for this new club that is doing such amazing things. So let's get started.
Yes, please. And the first thing I have to say is wow, because I have to be honest, when I was watching your 30 under 30 pitch video, I had to rewind it every few seconds just to make sure I caught everything.
Yeah.
So that's very impressive. And how old are you at the moment?
23.
23. Yeah. So this is super... I'm genuinely impressed.
I had a lot more to say. Actually, they said for the Forbes pitch, it needed to be 5 minutes.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah, and
it was a challenge.
Genuinely, in my mind, I thought that I was 3 minutes and a half. But then, if I finished at 8, I had the director of the magazine coming up in the stage, finishing off, because a thing that I like to do is I like to talk. And when it's sustainability, you just makes me loving to talk in sustainability. So it's a perfect cocktail.
Yeah, so that's amazing. That's why we're here today. And let's dive in. So the first question I have for you is, okay, all of this information is already out there about you, but let's go back in time. If this was your first day at Nova School of Law, how would you have introduced yourself?
Yeah, when before joining Nova and before choosing to do law, I was still in between of doing international relations and law, because I always wanted to know how countries worked. I always understood that we need to zoom out. We need to see things in different perspectives, different angles, and the international relations had that, but then law had the enforceability side of it. Mm-hmm. Because the idea I have of international relations was that you understood a lot, you understand a lot of geopolitics, but you really need the mechanisms to make things work in the legal systems. So in my first year, I would maybe say, hi, I'm João. I'm very eager to learn. I still don't know if I want to do law, but I'm really excited to just step up and have a voice. I think that's why when I joined it, I got an invite to go through the Students' Union in the first semester, and then at the end of the first year, I was already vice director of Nova Law Journal. So, when I step in the room, I like to make sure that I can be of use and I can be of value. So I would say that, hey, I'm eager to learn in the first year of my bachelor's.
Yeah, and then you bring out your personality and things just happen.
Yeah.
So, but with all of this happening right now, how do you introduce yourself nowadays? Yeah,
right now it's a little bit more different. I know a little bit more about what I want to do, and I feel like I've given myself time to learn a bit, to study a bit, to do things that normal people don't do, because I use my time very wisely and I choose it very wisely. I don't sleep a lot. I drink a lot of coffee, so that helps. But I would say, like, hey, I'm João, and I just want to make sure that young people are listened and that we can empower each other. Nowadays, the topics are very chaotic. So you get home and you have so many notifications on your phone about wars, about this, about that, and then news like, oh, young people don't care about politics, young people don't care about the EU, young people don't care about the job market. So you have this, and normally it's not the young people who are giving those quotes, they're not telling you that. And I can see with my experience that that is not happening. What we have right now is like a disbelief. We have two sides. We have the young people that are too tired, they feel like they're not listened, and the disbelief, and the problem is so big that sometimes we just want to forget it and have our normal life. So that's one point. And the other side, you have a lot of people who are really doing amazing things. They have good projects, they are here on their weekends trying to create new projects. So I would say that this is the reality that we are in right now. But I would say that I'm a young voice that wants to create new chapters, that wants to make part of the change, that really wants to also make sure that you can highlight others people's voices when sometimes they don't even believe that they can do it. Mm-hmm. So I would say that that's a presentation that I normally do. And then Global Shaper, and then Forbes Under 30, and then the other things. But the big point is this one.
Yeah, okay, that's the most important part. And yeah, I'm just curious of how did this all start? So I can see that you're like that by nature, so you enter a room and you want to do, and you're excited to do something.
But it wasn't, you know, this was something I've learned, because I wasn't, when I started my bachelor's, when I started at Nova, I was in the students' union. I created my own club. I did moot courts. I did international trips. I was in 3 research centers, Nova Human Rights and Environment, Nova Ocean, Nova Green Lab. So I was in all the fronts that you can imagine, because I really wanted to equip myself with the knowledge, and I wanted to take this environment that only Nova can give you. You know, you feel the international environment, you feel the people, you feel the professors, and I really want to make the best out of it. Some people can call it like, oh, you need to be brave, or you're too greedy, but it's not about that. It's about, you know, how many people want to have the same opportunities that you have. When you have a professor like, for example, a Fulbrighter that is coming from the US with 30 years of experience, so you want to talk about with him about what are the current problems, what are the current trends, what do you think you should specialize yourself. You know, I always wanted to get to know more of people and interesting people. So I did that since the first day when I started to understand that I wanted to do more with my life. I wanted to have an international career. I didn't want to occupy space. I wanted to redefine it, and I wanted to be part of systemic change. So when I said that, I really stood by it. And for example, during COVID, when we were in our house and closed in our houses, I was having courses online in international schools with funded spots. For example, some courses that you had to apply and you could have scholarships. You know, I did it, and I was having like virtual coffees with people that I was finding on LinkedIn, that I saw that they had a nice profile. So even when I was locked inside my house, instead of reading some newspapers or something, I was having virtual coffees with CEOs or stuff like that, because I really wanted to understand their vision about the world. Because sometimes in sustainability, you know, that there are some jargons, there are some words, some facts that the general public doesn't understand and needs it to be this, you know, you need to digest it for them so you can have a more popular voice, because the topics are tough, so you need to simplify them.
Yeah, but that also takes nerve, because when the world was in the unknown,
Yeah.
you were still trying to know more and
Yeah.
to define things and
You know,
to go further.
we are the generation that doesn't quit, I think. And we are the generation that wants more and has it all. You know, we have globalism, which I love. You know, you can, with our ID, we can travel inside Europe like we were going to Algarve,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I think,
we are literally citizens
you know,
of the world.
we are
now.
citizens
feel
of
like
the
that,
world,
yeah.
and we need to make, we need to use it. I use it, you know. We have internet, we have LinkedIn, we have international platforms that, you know, I can be here with you. And now we close this podcast. I have my computer. I will do a Zoom call to Taiwan with Singapore, and I can connect with people. The only thing that is stopping us is time zones, and we still can make up for it. So we were in the unknown, and I don't like the unknown, you know. The more I read, the more I feel like I don't know, and that stresses me out. So I want to know even more.
Yeah.
So it's a spiral. So when we were in the unknown, I was like, okay, what's happening? What can I do? I'm not going to be sit here, and I really like to use my time wisely, so I was doing it.
And you were, at that time, you were studying
Yes.
your bachelor's, but you were already interested in sustainability. You knew that there was the way for you, or it was just a topic you liked and you also were
You
searching
know,
for things?
that comes again with law and international relations, because I was in my second year of bachelor's law. It's 4 years, and it was in my second year. And normally you need to, if you're good, you need to do some summer internships. And I always liked the sustainability side, but it was more related to, you know, governments and institutions, because I feel like change needs to come where the money is, where the flows of money are. You know, we cannot just internalize the cost of sustainability in the individual. We need to have a collective action, and we need to act where the power is, when the decision makers are, where the money is. You know, we need companies to be decarbonizing. We need countries to have legislative and legal mechanisms that are enforceable. They're enforcing the SDGs, that are enforcing, you know, green claims, that are enforcing reporting schemes. There is where I feel like there's so much work to do. And sometimes, you know, just pointing the finger at the individual and say, just recycle your coffee cups. And you know, I do my recycling work, but I feel like there can be more power in the top companies, in the top decision makers, policy makers, you know, consumer demand and consumer behavior, you know, doing that pressure. So I was in my second year of law, and I wanted to do a summer internship at a law firm. But as you can see, or as we can imagine, no law firm wants a second year law student. They want a fourth year or a master's student. So I was speaking with a professor of mine, international relations and political science, about wanting to do something in my summer. You know, you have 3 months, you want to do some stuff, and we were discussing those, brainstorming, and I was like, what topics do you like? Well, I like sustainability, I like innovation, I like social impact, you know, all those areas. I like them at the time, but I didn't know exactly the extent of those words. And he was like, okay, maybe we need to find international organizations that are working on it. And then I applied for GASP, Global Alliance for a Sustainable Planet, in New York. And they had an amazing team. You know, Satya, which is the Secretary General, worked for the UN for more than 30 years in the environmental program. He has connections all around the world and the globe. And I got the pleasure to be their policy and strategy intern. And I was working in policy briefs, I was working in financial mechanisms, I was working in cooperation projects, Kenya or India. We did one of the biggest projects in India, in Andhra Pradesh, you know, beach cleanups with the national government. That I said, okay, this is interesting. This is creating impact from day one. And the team there was it was amazing because I had colleagues from Harvard, from Columbia, from Princeton, from LSE, a lot of them from LSE, and they were doing like bachelors on sustainable cities, sustainable design. They were not these were not masters; they were bachelor. Yeah. What I was like, what are you doing? And they were like, I'm doing sustainability design. I was like, is that a bachelor's? Yes, it is. I'm doing smart city development. I was like, but this is amazing. And they were like, what do you do? I do law. I'm studying law with a minor in no minors. I'm just doing law, and I have a passion. So I that drive that they had and that vision that they had, I drink from it, and I think that was a moment that I saw, okay, this is a world that I want to be part of. This is a world of people that are doing it. And I think when I came back, I had a division of sustainability. I had a division on the global economy in terms of the systems and how they work and how governments act and seek help, because we were advising a lot of institutions, private, public. And when I came back, I joined the Global Shapers, and then I tried to keep on the fire that I had during that time, and I tried to give them also to the Portuguese people, to my teams. And because when we don't know what is happening, we cannot want that, because we don't know that exists. So that was like the motto was, okay guys, we need to create a collective movement that is amplifying the voices of the youth and acting for the good, but in a good way. There's a lot of Climb Maximum and all of those that really are a bug in the system, because they take the credit and the trust of society in us when we want to do sustainability projects. We want to make coherent, dedicated, and well-purposed projects, and when you have people doing those kinds of things, that really touches on, we are young, so I have to take the long run because I'm young, and then I'm working on sustainability, so it's another topic that when you talk about sustainability, it's not for the good reasons. So I also have to take the long run on this, but it's the pleasure of the ride that also makes this more
that makes you able to keep going and excited for what's coming also. Okay, wow, that's you basically resumed everything, and you are showing that sometimes we feel like we have lack of opportunities, or I don't know how to reach to this point, but it's really about, like, if you want,
it's coherence also.
Just talk to people, talk to your teachers, talk to someone that inspires you, ask them for coffee.
One of the best advices that I could give to people is have people that you like, professionally and personally, talk with them regularly, ask them questions, because you need to surround yourself with like-minded people that are also doing good in their areas. Sometimes I'm having brunches or I'm having dinners with people that are not in my area, but they're like key players on their own areas, on industry, in international finance, and maybe it's not your area of expertise, but their ideas, and sometimes there are so many contact points. One of the good things on sustainability is that, and one of the things that I talk the most is that some people in general still think that sustainability is only about water, climate, recycling, environment, and sustainability needs to be talked in an integrated 360 angle way. It needs to be seen as part of the system, and it needs to be seen in human rights, in the social, in the environmental, in the governance. You need to zoom out when we talk about it. And that vision really gives an amplitude to sustainability that can be used in a lot of ways, in different ways. Sustainability is a way of living. Sustainability is a way of doing business. Sustainability is a way to act. Sustainability is also a financial exercise. So having multiplicity of people, having a long range of people that are also connected with their ecosystems, and discussing with them, it's very important. And I would say that surround yourself, have mentors that can help you. When I was finishing law school and I was doing my intensive climate regulation course at Católica, I didn't know if I wanted to do an international master's. I was already in the middle of 2 international master's admissions selection process. One of them I had already finished everything. I had funding. I had this. I had that. The other one I was starting that process but in sustainability masters, new masters that were coming. And I was like, should I go to the job market and understand what's happening, have a little sense, because you've been studying, but you need to understand how the market is right now in regards to sustainability, or should I just study more? And I was like, okay, I need to have a grip on what's happening to then be more useful when I do my next step. And I was discussing that with an international finance professor from Nova SBE, Professor Castaça Casquinho, that it's not on the sustainability area, but, surrounding yourself with people that are doing, and we were hours discussing this. So I would say, even if that person is in sports or is in healthcare, but it's a change maker and it's in that area, you should discuss your thoughts.
Yeah, and I also love that vision of sustainability is not just a topic, it's a way of doing things.
Yes.
And it's really, when people start embedding that in
their core.
Yeah, in their core, they understand that everything is about doing things in a sustainable way that will lead to change, actually.
And we cannot see sustainability only as a reporting exercise or putting sustainability. Now they created sustainability departments in a company. I think in the future, you won't have sustainability departments. You won't have a sustainability officer, because that needs to be embedded in the decision-making layer of the company. So you need to have a top board, and sustainability needs to be embedded in the core of the business.
Yeah.
Because if not, it will be like 2008, 2006, where the sustainability department is in the marketing department, and you won't see major changes happening when you have sustainability only in the marketing department or in the communications market department.
Yeah, definitely. And so leapfrogging to your 30 under 30 recognition, how does that work? Like, did you apply? Did they reach to you? We are very curious to know.
I don't chase titles. For example, I don't wake up in the morning trying to understand what will be the next, but it's nice. That was the second year that Forbes in Portugal had a list. And normally I might seem that I am a very confident that I know and all about, but normally when people like compliment me, I feel like they are just, oh, you're good. They're coming from a place to a praise or something like that. So normally I don't really, I take like 1 second listening to that and then I'm focusing on other things. So I have a problem in admitting that side of the coin. And I think it was December, I was studying for my exams, and I was here at Nova in the library with a friend of mine. I had already been interviewed by Forbes when I came from COP28 in Dubai, and I had created my international platform of young leaders. And I had been interviewed by them because I came directly from COP, and then the project that I did came, and I had new information about what was happening at COP28, what it was being talked about, the phasing out and the phasing down, the climate pledges. So I was in their annual summit talking about sustainability. And then I got interviewed by them when I did other projects. But I felt like I was too young, because at the time, the first time they interviewed me, I was 21. And I feel like 21. This is Forbes under 30. I feel like a lot of under 30 listers are 29, 28. So I won't even able to do it. But you know, age and requirements never stop me from speaking, reaching, and doing. So I applied. I think it was almost the closing season. I submitted all the documents, I submitted all the requirements, I submitted all the proof of the things that I was doing, my projects. And in May, I got a letter like, oh, you got selected. And that time was the first time that they created a category of sustainability and social impact, because in the first year they didn't have one. So this gives also a sense that the marketing is reacting to sustainability, because when a business magazine is also taking consideration of sustainability and social impact aspects, it shows that the market is also wanting to see the change makers in those areas. So it was very important to me because, you know, I'm young and I speak with a lot of people. I am in major international outlets, and sometimes I'm in the stage with CEOs and board members. They're 80, they're 70, and you know, you're just a kid that wants to talk about the climate and sustainability. You know, I don't bring the big I bring the big numbers. I bring all the numbers, I bring all the reports, I bring all the new statistics, but it's not the statistics they want, because I'm giving them I'm giving them a wake-up call. And I'm you know, diplomacy cannot be dry when the planet is drowning. And I bring those numbers. So it was was a seal that I got of quality from an international outlet like Forbes. I had already done an investigation, a parliamentary investigation with our parliament in Portugal in my I think it was in my third year of bachelor's. I closed myself in July and August in the library of the Assembleia da República, reading all the books that he had on fundamental rights and constitutional law, to do a research on fundamental law since the first republic that we had. And I did a report for a challenge, and we got a second because this was a team. I challenged my constitutional law professor, Professor Maria Mariana, and we did like a book. It was like a book to lots of pages on constitutionalism, and I was even reading books that were made of the cover was a snake still, and the book was falling apart. You know, I had to use gloves because it was from the First Republic, because I was doing the entire. So I was already doing that. I brought peer-to-peer, which is a project for people with disability, to Nova School of Law. You know, I was ambassador for Surfrider Foundation. I did the first, with my team, I did a podcast on sustainable finance with people from Luxembourg. You know, we had from Luxembourg Stock Exchange, Paulo Redondo Pereira. We had Nicoletta Sintofanti from Sustainable Finance Initiative. And so I was already doing a lot of friends. I had an energy podcast live from Brussels that we were covering all the topics directly from Brussels in regards to the new energy. When Russia war started, we had problems as a EU bloc to have a cap on the energy prices, so we were covering weekly those topics from Brussels. So I was always in this capacity building, bringing knowledge. The podcast, one of them was decoding sustainable finance, so making it easy. What is a taxonomy? What is climate litigation? You know, those topics. So I was already doing on-field projects and internet projects in English, so we could have the biggest reach that you could think about. I was doing free courses for young people on ESG and sustainability and energy with big law firms, with big companies. So I think I was covering a lot of topics in the in the more institutional side, the more social innovation side, the more academic side. So I was covering those topics, and I think this was like a final recognition. This was not you did this. No, it was a mix of 5 years of doing projects nonstop with the COVID in the middle. So it was an acknowledgement, and for people like our ages, that is very important because it really opened me so many doors that really helped me shape more projects. Now we are doing one with CPLP, bringing young voices from around the Portuguese-speaking countries, Angola, Mozambique. So it's really important that, when you open, and this is something I like to do, when you open a door for you, I want to open a door for them, and I want to open a window. I want to, because it's difficult to get there, and there's a lot of nights without sleeping. There's a lot of pressure. There was days that I was like sleeping 1 or 2 hours and still studying for my bachelor's. I was still doing academic research. I was still trying to find time for my friends. I was still trying to find time for my family. So and that also is sustainability, knowing how to slow down and knowing how to also disconnect for a bit. So this recognition was like a final stage of a lot of work that was already being done.
Yeah, I feel maybe not the final stage.
Not.
No, just because I know I'm sure you won't be, but I feel like if there's this recognition, it's for people like you, because there's why it's also like 30 under 30, only 30 people, and and you really use it for everything that you've been doing, and it's true. Like at such a young age, it's nice to have that recognition, that patch of. You can trust me. I know some things. I know I'm 23, but I didn't learn some things already. So please hear my voice.
You need to see, like, when you step in the stage and then say, "Oh, it's someone our age coming," and then when the voice off starts to tell your awards or what you do and what you've done, you can see like the eyes from the public that normally are older than us. They're like on their phones, and when they start to hear some awards, they close their phones, they turn off their phones, they look at you for a while and give you like, okay, let me hear what he has to say for like 5 minutes, and if I like, and I will listening to it. But normally they disconnect. So doing awards for young people, it's so important because it can change the way your businesses and your projects go from it.
Yeah, definitely. And you touched the 2 points about sustainability that I would like to dive in, which is you talked about sustainable finance, and I would like to know, for our listeners that don't know what that is and how did it appear in your life, how you use it. And also, I was interested in the sustainability, like personal sustainability, because that's true. I mean, we are young, so we still have energy, especially you. But it's important also not to disregard that our energy is not limitless as well.
I wish
and
it
it's
was.
a bit. I feel like there's that pressure of when you're young, people want you to conquer the world. They feel like you can do anything, and if you don't, they're like. I mean, a lot. Yeah, it's like either you do a lot of things, or maybe they disregard your voice, like you were saying. Maybe if you didn't have all those awards, they would just keep continuing their phones. And we really need to feel heard. Like, and part of the disbelief about politics and everything is that we feel like we are not being heard, or people don't take us into account. So. Sustainable finance first. What is it? And what do you do with it, or how do you apply it?
Sustainable finance is a very important piece of the puzzle, of the sustainability puzzle, because sustainable finance is aligning financial decisions with environmental, social, and governance criteria. So we are taking into consideration our financial portfolios, our financial decisions, but we are not only having in consideration financial returns per se. So I'm investing in products that bring me more than just money. they have into consideration business and human rights, they have in consideration social impact, they have in consideration, for example, indigenous people's rights. When I'm, for example, doing a major company or making a project in the Amazon or something like that. So we are having at the same time the financial decisions that are crucial for the business, but at the same time we are taking into consideration other factors that are important, either supply chain or those aspects that I spoke earlier. And that is really important because in the legal side there's an architecture, a puzzle. You have major regulations that are really important, and they make you disclose how green or how sustainable your company is by following certain criteria. When we do that, we talk, for example, about the European taxonomy. That is a list that talks about sustainable activities. You have the CSRD that makes you show and disclose information that are not only financial, they are sustainable. And you have the CSDDD that goes also in the due diligence and in the supply chain of your business, or where you're headed, where your company is, where your headquarters is. And then you have, for example, the Green Claims Directive that prevents companies from giving you vague quotes or vague affirmations about their way of working, on how green they are. For example, if I say that my phone is made 100% from recycled materials, and then I have, for example, a little a sentence that is very short after it, just saying, oh, but da 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 da, the person will read the big quote, oh, it's made at 90%. You need to be clear on how that sustainability mechanism was created. And sustainable finance is here to bring an extra layer and to bring the importance, because in sustainability we need to follow also the capital flows and where the money is, because we have this architecture in the EU, and outside of the EU you have countries now created their own taxonomies. You have the China taxonomy, Brazil is creating its taxonomy, has created its taxonomy. So these are important because when you are, for example, giving a score to a company on how green it is, you need to have a standard, because in Portugal, for example, it's 1 out of 5. In Brazil, it's 10 out of 15. In US, it's 30. But if I want to invest in each one of them, the score is not the same. So sustainable finance is this extra layer to bring more accountability that needs to be read with this architecture that we have. So I would say that it's a branch of the financial system that is very important for the players to also navigate this sustainability landscape that is being created and recreated every single day.
Yeah, and hopefully that just has sustainability as a whole in a few years,
Yes.
maybe more.
Yes.
Finance, maybe more, it will become embedded also in what finance is and how we do things.
Yes, and I was speaking when I was doing my intensive course on Catholic in climate change regulation. We had some professors from the financial sector, and they said that, for example, you have green bonds, you have blue bonds, you have social bonds. In like 20 or 30 years, they expect those bonds to disappear because they are just a baseline. You will have investments that have already embedded sustainability criteria, whatever those criteria are in 2000 and you name it. So I think it's the same with sustainability officers of companies. You will have to embed those decisions in the products and also in the way that the governance of the structure is. So let's see. But sustainable finance is very important, and that's why we created a podcast, Decoding Sustainable Finance, because the jargons and the importance need to be discussed. And it was like an informal one-on-one conversation that we had in English with players, decision makers, policy makers that were rocking their areas to share with a younger audience the importance of those topics, and also for students that are wanting to do their thesis. I don't know how many students have reached out to me via LinkedIn or Instagram, like, oh, I want to to talk about this on my thesis. I want to work on this. What do you think would be interesting? Green asset ratio, green bonds, social linked bonds. There's a lot of topics that are important. So those podcasts might help, and that information more simple to the public will be helpful because they know that those options exist in the market.
Yeah, and the other part of the question that we already... I wanted to say something that we'll make sure we'll leave the link to the podcast because it's super interesting
and it's in English, so all the audience
Perfect.
that follows can see and listen.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's super interesting. And also now I'm curious still about the personal part, the sustainability of your own person, yourself.
That is work under construction.
Yeah, that's the hardest,
I would say. Yes.
Area.
That is an area that I want to focus on, and if there was like what sustainability habit do you want to master, I would say that it's this balance and also disconnecting for a bit, because it's really difficult. Nowadays you are connected 100% of the time. Everyone needs you, everyone has invites, everyone wants you to be here, there. You go to an international conference, you need to speak with people, you need to do this, you need to write this, you need to speak for that, you need to... and sometimes you forget that the day has only 24 hours. And I do forget that the day has 24 hours. I live a day of 48 hours. So I would say that in the personal side, it was worse. If you spoke with me like 2 years ago, it would be much more different. But now I'm starting to put a stop, sometimes a comma, sometimes a stop, never a full pause, but a stop to things, because there is also sustainability to sustain and to live a healthy, balanced equilibrium in your own life. That is also a goal that I want to achieve.
Yeah, and before you also said something about it's important to talk to the organizations that have the power to actually change stuff. But so I wanted to ask you, what's your view on the importance of the sustainable habits society tries? I mean, that we are expected to have in our day-to-day lives, like what we eat, what we consume, how we choose to move ourselves. Is that really important?
Yes.
Or do you feel like the change needs to be somewhere else, or it's a whole, like we need to work together? What do you feel about that?
I would say that it matters, but it needs to matter in a collective way of living, in a societal way of living, not only put it in an internalize only in our own actions what we do, because we need to work as a group, and we need to work as a society. And we are living a very individualized world, a very me world, and that makes things way more difficult, because I'm first of all, I'm thinking only in the now, in the short-term decision. I'm not zooming out the way I was telling. I'm not zooming out. I'm not thinking as systems. I'm not thinking that sustainability, innovation, finance, they're working in the system, that it's a puzzle, it connects itself. And at the same time, that this belief that you were talking about, that this belief that my little world will not affect the little world of the other, that it's in my right side, that has consequences. People turn off, and the other ones, they turn on. So we have at the same time two voltages working at the same time. But I would say that the way we live and how we do, the pressure we make, that's why for me this education, this knowledge should not be a privilege, but should be a right, needs to be also addressed. If we don't know what it is, we cannot demand, and we need to make pressure in the markets, in the players, in the companies, in the politicians, in the policymakers, because that for me is where real change is. And that, I think, is a work we need to do. Not only João, not only Maria, but we as a group. And that's what I try to do with my international platform, is connecting groups, connecting people to make pressure in the right sides of it, not fall into extremisms, not fall into the now, not fall into, sustainability is also understanding that sometimes slowness is also a way to do it, because then you don't need to come back 1 and 2 times, 3 times, because you only this now, and the now it's not well done. I prefer to deliver something that is more well structured, more well planned, then more sustainable. But it works. So I would say that that's the way I see things right now.
Yeah, it makes sense. Moving here to another topic, I noticed that I was reading an article, and I think this is known by now. It's a generalized knowledge that we are a bit off track of the SDGs goals by 2030. Actually, I think even we are like halfway. No, half of them are not being accomplished.
We were like 12 to 14% of the SDGs agenda in 2023, and right now with the new report that came, we are 2 times slower than we were from 2016 to 19. So we are 2 times worse than we were at that time. Wars, instability, social and political instability sometimes put sustainability not as a priority. So that also is something that affects the way that sustainability, because again, needs to be seen in the context, in the global political and geopolitical context, shows us those metrics that you were talking about. So there's a lot to be done, and the recent numbers are not that pretty.
Yeah, true. And what do you feel about that? It's really about also the geopolitical context at the moment, but also, do you think this is still a framework that is
viable?
Yeah, that it's viable. What could be done, or what do you see? What is being talked at the moment in sustainability forums? For example, you were just at the Bonn Climate Change Conference, right? You just came back. And even what we saw there that you shared in your social media is that a few days before the final talks, the European Commission withdrawn the Green Claims Directive, which is the proposed law to fight corporate greenwashing. So it feels like we are really taking steps back, and I think even not just young people, but everyone noticed that. And what do you feel about this context, what we are living now? What is the way to sustainability? I think things are being redefined. I hope it's a phase we are going through, but what is the current moment for sustainability?
I would say that first, this agenda was made primarily to governments and to those institutions, but companies and other players have used them because they're good. I really love the SDGs. I think they're good metrics. They are fantastic because they are interconnected. They are like 2.0 of the objectives of the millennium. They're a revamped vision of them. But I would say that for them to have more success and for them to be more well operationalized, they need to be enforceable, and they need to be put in a more important category. I would say that we already have the tools, and I speak a lot about innovation. We need to give a twist to a revamped vision of how we are seeing things, because they're not enforceable. People will not follow them. They are good, but they also need to be where the money is right now with the competitiveness compass, with an Inisto report and with the Draghi report. We see that there's a fast track of competitiveness that the European Commission wants to follow. And I'm also a EU Climate Pact ambassador. I really like the EU Green Deal. The EU Green Deal is nothing more than, okay, we need to put the money into sustainability, into future industries, they are also going to the path of net zero. We need to decarbonize our economy, and we need to create the capital flow system for us to adopt with time these new industries and to put money into these new industries. And that needs to be fulfilled. That needs to be created. And those voluntary systems sometimes don't work because they're voluntary. And the pledges that sometimes companies do, I'm going net zero by 2070, I'm going net zero by 2080, that's because we are living in cycles of 4 and 5 years. So my mandate as CEO of this, I will put the net zero pledge as further as possible, because then it will not be my responsibility. It will be the responsibility of the person who is coming next. And that is for companies, that is for governments, because there it is, we are not zooming out. We are living in cycles where the right now matters more than the long term.
Yes.
And the long term, because sustainability is a strategy that needs to be embedded, it needs to be well taken care of, and it needs to be well strategized, not only in the marketing department, but in the core of the business. So this is the innovation I'm talking about. It's not reinventing new concepts. It's not creating new political and economical theories. They are already there. We know what works: energy transition, just transition, decarbonizing. We know circular economy. We know the concepts that work, and we know the concepts that will make this machine go further. But the way of operationalizing that and the way of creating that pathway needs to be created with mechanisms that work. So the answers are there already. We just need to create a system that is more friendlier to that.
Do you feel like it's about a system or maybe a mindset change that it's very needed? Because we see some companies doing it, but then other CEO comes and makes everything
go back again.
And even people like not just mindset, but there's this belief we've been talking about, and we feel like we are all connected to the whole world, but we are so disconnected from ourselves and even from each other. We feel like we are connected to all these people all the time, but then that's
in the real life we are not.
And that also disconnects us from the world and from what we think what we know it's important, from our values, for the things that really are important to bring change. So I think it's also this is a challenging time.
Yes, these are actually challenging times, and we are in the cover of a lot of treaties as future generations, not us, because we are a current generation. So the future generations will be our kids. It's not even us anymore. But we are not where the discussions are being taken. That is something that I'm fighting again. Because I was in the Portuguese delegation to understand the negotiations and the topics that were being discussed in Bonn SB 62, which is the subsidiary body of the United Nations Convention on Climate Change. And they are discussing the topics that will be taken into the COP conference in Belém, in Brazil. So in this Bonn conference is more technical. We will be discussing the topics and the texts that will be taken into COP, and then COP will create enforceability mechanisms for the international community to follow those sustainability recommendations, not recommendations, but sustainability works and sustainability pathways and etc. But I would say that, again, I think it's also a mindset, like you were talking about. It's a collective mindset, and with these tough times that are around us, we had a COVID crisis, we have an economic crisis, and for example in Portugal the salaries are very, very low. So when young people are studying and they have 2-3 jobs to do, sustainability it will not be in the forefront of their living, because they are in survival mode. So if I'm having so many troubles, I need a good job, I need to have good grades, I need to finish my masters, I need to pay my masters, I need to go outside, I need to be in conference rooms, I need to have a good CV. At the same time, I need to have money to pay for everything, but the rent is so high, I cannot find a house. You are putting so many things on your back that if you don't understand, you don't have the time to read about it. It's a cocktail, so it's not only a mindset. It's a mindset. It's a collective trust we need to build, and at the same time, there's a word that is very important for me, which is hope. Hope is very important because when you have hope, you feel like there's a light at the end, and you will work and you will follow that light. Because you know that your voice matters, the work you're doing matters, the teams that you're coordinating matters, the projects you're leading matters, the job you're having matters. And when you don't have hope, you will likely go to that downfall of the self-individualism, because hope sometimes is the only thing that lasts. And when you lose hope, it's very difficult to get it back.
Yeah, super true. And I had so many questions for you, and we could stay here for about some more hours, but unfortunately we are running out of time. And I wanted you to talk us about, in this note of hope, about Generation Resonance. So how did it come about?
Yeah.
What's the goal?
Generation Resonance was a project.
I'm sorry.
No problem. I've heard it all.
Yeah.
Resilience.
Resilience.
I've heard it all.
Be a good one
Yes.
as well.
I've listened to it also. That wasn't actually that bad. It was a project that was created to take a youth project to COP28 in Dubai, and it was an invite from the United Nations Association at a time where in Portugal you had a lot of radicalism in terms of sustainability. So this was a way of showing that young people are connected, young people want to do more. So I created a team. I called some friends, the Joana, Rui and Andresa, and we, in different sides with different pillars, diversity, inclusion, international relations, political theory, international market. So we had different, and me with the environmental and ESG part of it. We tried to create a project that could give a voice to young people and in Portugal, but right now we've evolved to more people, not only Portuguese people, but to our network around the globe. And that first work we did, we gathered information of young people till the age of 30 in Lisbon, their main concerns in terms of sustainability, to try to understand how we could tackle them. And then we did a roadmap based on those worries that people had to try to tackle each one of them. So after that, the project was very well received. It was a time that the government fell, Antonio Costa's government fell, so it was tough for us. But we managed to deliver the work, and then we created our podcast Tomorrow Talks, which was a passport, because one of the things was what type of jobs there are, what type of skills do I need to have. I'm not being heard, so this was a one-on-one talk with CEOs, like ex-ministers from different areas, different departments, to let people know that there are different jobs from the regular lawyer and CEO, and there are different jobs with us, these different markets that we have. And then we created policy briefs. We went to the EU, to the UN, with these worries that we could gather from young people, and projects with schools, elementary schools, projects also that we took to companies. We spoke already with some companies, Volkswagen, and with heads of companies like Siemens. So it was important for us to feel that we were also, we were called, like, what are the concerns you have? What are the options you can give us? What are the visions that you have on this? So this comes as an international platform and different angles to tackle different problems and bring different solutions, because again, sustainability is not a one-size-fits-all. What works here will not work to There are not pre-made solutions. You need to understand, you need to know the field, you need to know the markets that they operate, and you need to understand what are the goals that company, that institution, that foundation has. So for us, that is a platform that I want to expand on, because this podcast we had 12 countries in the first season. It was really important, and the job just keep on going. I went to COP with my team from Generation Resonance, so that is important, because I think we are being recognized with the work that we do, and that is for sure a project that I want to keep on working in, because I feel like I'm also giving a bit to my country.
Of course, yeah, and it's super relevant. And it's for people also under 30, so young people.
Yeah.
Okay, and is it open? People can apply?
Yes, of course. If there's some interest, we have our Instagram account. You can contact us directly there. It's generation resonance, and we have our website as well. We have our email, which is generationresonance@gmail.com. So if you have any worries, if you have any ideas, if you want to join, if there's a project that you feel like we could help, or just chat a bit about some problems you might have or your institution or organization is having, we are more than welcome to help. So the more the best.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm afraid this is the end, but I would like to say that, as you also say, the end is energy never dies.
Yes,
right?
I said that. Yeah. You really listened to my my pitch. Yeah, I used that.
I had a lot of questions, because everything you said, I was like, oh, I need to ask this and this and this.
Yes, the energy never dies. It's the end. There's a new one. There's a new one that I want to say. This is a quote from Antonio Ortozori, which is a strategist that I really like, and he's always telling, keep the eyes on the stars and the feet on the ground. So I would say that to people that are listening to us, it's put your eyes in the stars, but don't forget that your feet are firmly on the ground.
Yeah. Very true. I also love that sentence. But with this, I would like to say, so where is your energy focused right now? What are the things on your agenda? What are the next things coming for you?
First of all, it would be solidifying, because I'm in a law firm, solidifying my law career, and I'm in my law firm, I'm working in the ESG department and climate change regulation, so helping companies, businesses with corporate sustainability.
That's a 9 to 5 or more?
More.
Yeah, more like 9 to 5, so that's a full time.
Yeah, that's more than full time.
And still doing all of this.
It's not some
never dies.
9 to 9, I would say.
I believe so.
Yeah, 9 to 9, but energy never dies, because there it is. The word hope. It's very important. You still have your weekends, most of them. Yes, most of them.
It's Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday. But before doing this podcast, I was still having meetings, and after that, I'm still finding time to go to the gym, and then I have other things to do, so my day is packed. That is also good,
Yeah.
My weekends are packed until August, so that is really good for me, because there's always time to do more things, and the more time you have, the least you do. The less time you have, the more you do.
True.
That's a thing that I've witnessed, because when I was studying, and it was like summer vacation, when you have a lot of time. Oh, I'm gonna do this tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, and another thing that I will share here, in July I will publish a book on sustainability.
Wow,
with Almdina, which is a law publisher from Coimbra. It's a manual of sustainability, a guide, a handbook. I wrote only 2 articles, because I'm coordinating with some friends. We are 3 coordinating this. It's 22 authors. The preface was done by Monica Ferro from the UN, which is a mentor for me, and with Carol Portobello from the Alberto Monaco Foundation. You have Filipe Pantaleão from BCSD. You have Pepe de Paz, which is a lawyer, the best lawyer in Spain in ESG, and also Manuel Castelo Branco, which is a lawyer from Pérez de Orca in climate litigation and the litigation department. So it will be a book that covers all the topics we discussed here. We have from mental health to energy markets. So in July it will be out for sale. I will not be getting money out of it. No royalties for me, because I really want it to be accessible for everyone. So I'm focused on that people like the book. I'm focused on my legal career. I'm focused on expanding my international platform. I'm focusing on giving voice to the young. I'm focusing on a lot of things. But we can do a lot. Sometimes we cannot do all of them at the same time, but we can still do a lot.
Okay, wow, yeah. And this podcast should be out in July, so perfect timing.
Perfect.
Hopefully before your book, or if after.
No problem.
Yeah, even better, something maybe. Okay, so João, I mean, this conversation has been beyond inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and I feel like we all are super inspired by this, and at least me, I feel like I have much time now during the summer to do a lot of things.
Yes, but I know you also do a lot. So
yeah, I mean, I think here at Nova we have this spirit of also hands-on and wanting to do things. And yeah, so I hope this is the perfect time for the podcast to go out, because it's summer and it will remind people that that's still a lot to do.
Yes.
But still, don't forget personal sustainability. That's a topic that I very much love, and I also don't forget it. And it's important. So we'll leave all the links of everything we talked in the description, and I just want to say thank you for listening and for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I did, and I'm sure you did. This has been an amazing episode, and we'll be back next semester with more episodes of The Green is the New Black. Thank you, and thank you, João.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you.